Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Chinenye. Let's begin with the headlines. A combined overnight strike by Nigeria and the United States has recorded a significant example of effective collaboration in the fight against terrorism, says President Bola Tinubu as his most wanted terrorist is killed. Nigeria hits yet another milestone. S&P Global Ratings to upgrade Nigeria's sovereign credit rating from B to B+ with a stable outlook. And Russian President Vladimir Putin is scheduled to travel to China in the coming days. Many thanks for joining us. President Bola Tinubu has again promised that his administration will continue to work hard and build a great economy in order to sustain the country's prosperity already manifesting. He made the commitment when he addressed the Nigerian community in Rwanda. State House correspondent Musbal Danwahab reports.
After his prominent participation on the stage of the just concluded Africa CEO Forum, it was onto the stage facilitated by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. It was for the usual interface with Nigerians in diaspora. And in the case of Rwanda, Nigerians here would get a sense of belonging with the pleasure of direct access to their president. It was an opportunity well utilized, as many of them would bear their minds with the latitude given by their leader.
I wave all these women.
They lauded the well-noticed reforms of the administration, including the improved access and renewal of international passports, as well as the stability in the nation's economy.
For the forex float, now I can send my money to Nigeria without getting scared that the money will turn to 1 naira tomorrow. That's based on the reforms that you've done. There could be things from it, but that's what we need to survive as a country.
But beyond that, many of them who have made their marks in various sectors across the globe are eager to give back to Nigeria.
Yes, and we can bring in investment, we can bring in the money, we can bring in the people to create what we have created here and in other places in Africa. Trust me, yes. And I come in this in the name of doing it. I'm not looking for anybody's money. I have my own money. I want to do it for my country. It is a pride to me.
Thank you. Whatever is the obstacle back home, we will solve that.
Not only getting assurances of the president on their plans to give back, but also that the government is working to ensure a country to be proud of. While he demands patriotism from the citizenry, the president renews his pledge to the country and its people.
All I can promise you as a leader is that I will lead with sincerity. Regardless of tribe, religion, I don't care. What else do I promise you? Governance. Nigeria's prosperity is beginning to manifest itself. I will continue to work hard to make sure that we realize our dreams and leave a legacy of continuity, of progress, inclusiveness, and prosperity.
The community came up with really amazing ideas and innovations which Mr. President has instructed that has to be worked on. For instance, is a Nigerian who developed the sports city here in Rwanda and is willing to do something back home.
The Nigerians in the East African country promised to continue to protect the reputation of Nigeria on their sojourn abroad. Musbal Danwahab, NC News.
And President Bola Tinubu says the overnight strike by Nigeria and the United States has recorded a significant example of effective collaboration in the fight against terrorism. The president said this during joint operation that dealt a heavy blow to the ranks of the Islamic State is a determination of Nigerian armed forces working closely with the armed forces of the United States. An early assessment confirmed the elimination of the most wanted senior leader, Abu Bilal al-Manuki, also known as Abu Minok, along with several of his lieutenants during the strike on his compound in the Lake Chad Basin. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu affirmed he is appreciative of the partnership with the United States in advancing both countries' shared security objectives. He says, and I quote, "I extend my sincere gratitude to President Trump for his leadership and unwavering support in this effort. I commend the personnel involved on both sides for their professionalism and courage, and I look forward to more decisive strikes against all terrorism enclaves across the nation." End of quote. The federal government has welcomed the decision by S&P Global Ratings to upgrade Nigeria's sovereign credit rating from B to B+ with a stable outlook. This was contained in a statement by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Taiwo Oyedele. Here are excerpts of the statement read from our studio.
This latest by S&P follows similar positive rating actions in 2025 by Fitch Ratings and Moody's Ratings. It further reinforces growing international confidence in Nigeria's economic reform trajectory, policy consistency, and medium-term growth prospects. These independent assessments collectively affirm that difficult but necessary reforms undertaken under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are yielding measurable results and laying the foundation for a more stable, transparent, and resilient economy. In particular, S&P highlighted improvements in Nigeria's external position, stronger balance of payments dynamics, increased oil production, expanding domestic refining and export capacity, and the sustained implementation of key macroeconomic reforms, including foreign exchange market liberalization. The agency also recognized ongoing fiscal reforms aimed at broadening the tax base, improving public revenue mobilization, enhancing fiscal transparency, and strengthening debt sustainability. Notably, Nigeria's debt-to-revenue ratio has improved significantly since 2023 and is projected to decline further as reforms continue to mature. The upgrades by Fitch, Moody's, and now S&P send a strong signal to global investors, development partners, financial markets, and the international business community that Nigeria is regaining macroeconomic credibility and restoring confidence in the management of its economy. The government remains firmly committed to prudent fiscal management, macroeconomic stability, and structural reforms that promote inclusive and sustainable growth. Accordingly, the federal government will continue to uphold policies that support free enterprise, respect private investment, and provide a stable and predictable environment for business and investors to thrive. While these positive ratings developments are encouraging, we recognize that the work ahead remains substantial, focused on addressing inflationary pressures, improving food security, expanding decent job opportunities, and ensuring that economic growth translates into meaningful and inclusive prosperity for all Nigerians. The federal, states, and local governments will continue to implement reforms with discipline, pragmatism, and compassion while maintaining close engagement with citizens and all stakeholders. The federal government appreciates the resilience, patience, and support of Nigerians in this reform journey. This latest by
As pilgrims intensify prayers and supplication at the Grand Mosque in Makkah, scores of Nigerian pilgrims have continued to arrive the holy city, preparatory to fulfilling the 2026 Hajj rites. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
Some of the latest Nigerian pilgrims that have arrived to the holy city of Mecca are Katsina, Niger and Sokoto, bringing the current number of all Nigerian pilgrims to more than 20,000. The pilgrims who were in high spirit at the time of arrival expressed satisfaction with accommodations which are close to the grand mosques, meal formula and other critical services provided by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, and state authorities of Hajj boards.
I'm very impressed, very, very impressed. I even cry. Let them follow all the things they tell them to do, like wearing nusukat everywhere they want to go.
Accommodation and the masjid is not far.
During the arrival of Nigerian pilgrims in one of the facilities in the holy city of Mecca, an indigent Saudi lady and other children also played host to the guests of Allah and wished them a happy stay and a rewarding Hajj.
We are honored to have you and host you to our country. Our top priority to keep you safe and comfortable in your journey.
Meanwhile, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has continued to ensure that the welfare of all pilgrims in the holy city of Mecca is non-negotiable through collaboration with state pilgrims welfare boards.
This is what they're having for night, rice and beans with meat stew. Then it goes with orange juice and water. So that's what we're preparing now, white rice, beans and stew.
Earlier, the commission carried out its supervisory role in one of the meal kitchens where the chief chef explained that several Nigerian meals have been prepared in good quality and served at appropriate times to all pilgrims within their purview. From the holy city of Mecca in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more reports this day. Many thanks for staying on. Russian President Vladimir Putin will travel to China on May 19 for a two-day visit on the heels of U.S. President Donald Trump's trip to Beijing, the Kremlin said on Saturday. During the trip, the Russian leader will discuss with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, how to further strengthen the comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation between Moscow and Beijing. According to a Kremlin statement, Putin and Xi will exchange views on key international and regional issues and sign a joint declaration at the conclusion of their talks, it added. As part of the visit, Putin is also scheduled to discuss economic and trade cooperation with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. The announcement of Putin's trip comes just after Trump wrapped up on Friday the first visit to China by a U.S. president in nearly a decade, with a grand reception billing a roster of unresolved trade and geopolitical tensions, including over the Ukraine-Russia conflict. May 16th marks the International Day of the Boy Child, a day often overshadowed but equally important. While much attention rightly goes to empowering girls, this day reminds us that boys face their own silent battles: mental health stigma, pressure to man up, and higher risk of dropping out of school or falling into child labor. Frama Pine says the day has as its theme, Boys to Men, adopting good habits and attitudes.
Globally, boys are more likely to drop out of school, die from violence, and face harsher physical punishment. They are less likely to seek help for emotional distress, often because they are taught silence is strength. Experts say this emotional armor comes at a cost. Depression, aggression, and suicide rates among adolescent boys are rising in many countries. Yet, dedicated services for boys remain rare. To understand what boys really need, we spoke to a social worker, and here's what he told us.
I would want every boy child to put behind his mind that the boy gives birth to the man. So the attitude you carry as a child would subsequently manifest in the later days of life. Voice out, speak up, learn to show your emotions. You're not weak by showing your emotions.
He says boys are more likely to struggle with reading, more likely to be suspended from school, and far more likely to die by suicide than their female peers.
The boy child is seen as a man even while he's a child, forgetting that all children are children. So the pressures of the society mostly doesn't give them the room to be able to discuss their own issues. So they are being forced to become adults when they're even children. And such pressures even leads and supports them to go into social vices.
However, all hope is not lost. Across the globe, community programs are now offering safe spaces for boys to talk, mentors to guide them, and lessons in emotional intelligence alongside traditional sports and academics. The International Day of the Boy Child isn't about taking attention away from girls. It's about adding care for boys, because healthy boys grow into healthy men, and healthy men build safer, kinder families and communities. So, always remember to check on the boy in your life, your son, your student, your little brother, your neighbor. Ask him how he really feels and show him that listening is love. Frama Pani, NTA News.
Meanwhile, drug abuse and cybercrime have been identified as the two most dangerous impediments to young people realizing their dreams. This was the central message at a campaign against drug abuse and cybercrime organized by the Creative Mothers Care and Support Initiative to mark the 2026 International Day of the Boy Child, which held at the Federal Government Boys College, Abuja, with the theme, Stand Up, Be Heard, and Be Seen. Speakers, including representative of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, enlightened the students on the dangers of drug abuse, urging government and parents to do more in creating a conducive environment for the boy child to thrive.
Every boy here, your future is bright and your choice matters. Say no to drugs, say no to cybercrime, and choose paths that build your character and make you proud. Together, let us stand up, make the right decision, and build a safer and better future for ourselves and our society.
The dangers inherent in cybercrime as students is that cyberbullying and emotional harm. We have engagement in fraudulent activities, academic decline, and dropping out from school.
Calvin Ewonaya reports that the facilitators are determined to carry the campaign to communities beyond the celebrations. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mutake Rabe Dama, has reaffirmed the commitment of the federal government to transforming Nigeria's informal settlements into dignified, livable communities, describing it as a priority of the present administration. The minister made this commitment during a courtesy visit to his office by the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, led by the national president, Ogbonna Chime. Francis Udojo tells us more.
Leading the delegation, the national president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Ogbonna Chime, congratulated the minister on his appointment and described the visit as a strategic step towards deepening collaboration between the ministry and professional bodies in the built industry.
That before the end of this year, that this law should be approved for implementation, one at the national level, where we are in charge, and all other avenues, all other areas that has to do with organizational planning. My friend talked about the discussions in Abuja of the master plan. And I want to inform the Honourable Minister, those discussions are possible because this law is not being implemented.
Describing the period as a new season for the housing sector, the minister emphasized the need to upgrade slum communities and improve living conditions for Nigerians.
Like Makoko in Lagos, like Gishiri in Abuja, like when you go to Kano and you go to Port Harcourt, they are called urban areas, but they are slum. In fact, much worse than most villages. than we have in this country. So urban development is a very, very crucial thing. And in our policy that we are coming to do, we will now consider these areas.
The Institute also called for strengthened regulatory frameworks and renewed attention to national urban planning initiatives aimed at creating more organized, inclusive, and economically viable cities. Francis Udojo, NT News.
And Nigeria's housing deficit, estimated between 14 to 28 million, continues to rise, making it difficult for citizens to afford a decent home. The recent signing of the 10 billion naira MOU between the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, and the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board is a pathway towards reducing the housing deficit, with civil servants as target beneficiaries. In this special report, Francis Udojo again takes a look at the accessibility and modalities put in place in accessing the loan.
One of the basic necessities of man is shelter. With the current economic downturn around the world, Nigeria not an exception, a decent and affordable home has become a major challenge to people, especially civil servants who work in the urban centers. This difficulty is largely attributed to urbanization, hike in land acquisition, high cost of building materials, and access to housing financing. Bearing this in mind, the Renew Hope programs of President Bola Tinubu made shelter one of its administration's priority. Hence, the mass housing launch of cities and estates across the Federation, with over 10,000 housing units already in progress in 17 locations, with some near completion ready for inauguration. Housing institutions like the FHA and Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria are equally giving support.
Over the years, we have supported thousands of Nigerians to achieve home ownership through the National Housing Fund Mortgage Loan Scheme. We have also provided critical interventions through products such as the home renovation loan, individual construction loan, all designed to ease the housing burden on workers and expand access across income levels.
One significant milestone taken by government is the recent signing of 10 billion naira housing loan MOU by both FMBN and the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, where FMBN is providing funds for federal civil servants to access through the Loans Board. This came to bear under the supervision of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
These announcements did not happen by accident. They happened because a president decided that the civil servant would matter under his watch.
We are starting with an initial financial outlay of 10 billion naira, which the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria will provide to the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board for on-lending to federal civil servants.
Most of the civil servants on the streets of Abuja are very much happy about the development of the signing of this 10 billion naira housing loan. But the question to them is, how accessible is this loan?
Granting that 10 billion naira loan to civil servants, it's very okay. But the but is the accessibility.
No homes. Sometimes you will discover that even after retirement, they don't even have where to stay. So it's a welcome development for me.
The city is becoming very expensive, and most of us are living in the suburbs. There can be low-income houses by developers. Then this would be perfect and this would be fantastic.
The Executive Secretary, Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, has this to say.
I assure them that this loan is real. The Housing Loans Board used to give its loan at 3% interest rate because it's like a welfare package that federal government used to give to the federal public officers. But this one is a partnership. It has to be 6%. The money is available. We are waiting for the civil servant to key into this program.
The modalities in accessing the loans requires proof of employment later, among others.
Provided that you are a public servant, federal public servant, you are working for the federal government, you are a confirmed civil servant, confirmed federal public servant, you have years, up to 5 years in the service, and you have a genuine title from the developer that you want to buy the houses we are good to go.
The actors believe the Renewed Hope agenda places a strong emphasis on improving the welfare of Nigerians, with housing being a key pillar to achieving a viable civil service for national development. Francis Sudojo, NTA News.
And that's the news on NTA International. We thank you so much for being a part of it. I am Chinenye Nwoye.